Welcome, Age of Vintage Society. Christopher Reeve's life changed on May 27, 1995. The actor, an established star in Hollywood for 2 decades, was also a diligent enthusiast in equestrian competitions. On that spring afternoon, along with 300 other riders, he participated in a roadblock test. As he approached a triple pole jump, Buck, his thoroughbred horse, stopped dry and Reeve fell headfirst across the barrier. What was between Christopher Reeve and Katherine Hepburn? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Through his leading role in the 3 Superman films, Christopher Reeve became so closely identified with the superhero that he wasn't just seen as the actor who played Superman. He was Superman, which is why the tragic riding accident which left him paralysed from the neck down shocked the world. Superman was not superhuman. It is also why he is now the world's most recognisable person in a wheelchair. In true superhero style, Christopher Reeve refuses to resign himself to the life of a quadriplegic and is actively campaigning to raise the profile of spinal cord injury victims and research. Although he was initially told that he would only ever be able to move his head, he could shrug his shoulders and breathe alone for increasing periods of time, and is determined that he will walk again. It is this extraordinary courage and determination that has made Christopher Reeve the internationally admired figure that he is, and it is this bravery which makes this video about his paralysis and his journey to recovery such a powerful and moving story. Everyone knows Christopher Reeve as one of the greatest Supermans, but they also know him because of the tragedy he lived through and the man it made him. Grab some tissues as we recall everything about this hero's unbelievable life, the good, the bad, and the downright catastrophic. In this video we share with you a detail that is rarely discussed about Christopher Reeve. Watch the video to the end and you'll be surprised how different real life is behind the scenes. Behind the images and facades of stars whose fame and fascination continue to outlive them lies the naked truth. How Hollywood stars lived, worked and died is often more dramatic than their films. When we talk about movie stars, we usually dwell not on their movies, but their personalities or what happened to them or supposedly happened. Their lives interest us even more than their roles, especially, let's be honest, their mishaps and tragedies, including early deaths. Their scandals define several movie stars, and Hollywood's secrets remain a true gossip staple, particularly intimate secrets. Before climbing on the back of his horse, Reeve went through a problematic professional period. Having played Krypton's hero, he was struggling without much success to separate himself from that role and demonstrate his dramatic talent in films like Street Smart and The Remains of the Day. The accident changed everything. Born in New York City in 1952, Christopher Dollier Reeve was only 4 years old when life threw him his first curve ball, one of many. His mum and dad decided to go their separate ways, and little Chris moved with his mum and younger brother to Princeton, New Jersey. As such, Reeve's relationship with his father suffered, although he enjoyed a privileged childhood following his mother's remarriage to a stockbroker. He nevertheless had to cope with the anger and tension that characterized his parents' relationship. However, despite the resulting turmoil in his family, he focused his sights on promising new horizons. Reeve would often pass the time during his youth playing the piano, swimming, sailing, or engaging in some other similar activity. Not only did young Reeve excel in academics and athletics, but he also discovered a love for the performing arts. He got top grades, played in all the sports teams, and was only 9 years old when he acted in an amateur production of The Yeoman of the Guard. After interning at a theatre festival a few years later, he knew this is what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. Reeve was hooked. Later, as a gawky teenager lacking in self-confidence, he found that acting helped him overcome his feelings of clumsiness and insecurity. Reeve starred in virtually every stage production at his exclusive private high school and also spent the summer months immersed in the theatre, either as a student or an actor. By the time he was 16, he was a true professional with an Actors Equity Association membership card and an agent. The New York agent convinced Reeve to stick with his studies, but also pursue theatre in his spare time. From then on, Reeve dedicated every summer to professional theatrical productions, and after a mind-blowing European trip, he decided to shake things up a bit. He wanted to finish his last year of college at Juilliard, and it was here that he met another actor destined for fame. Reeve was one of two people selected for Juilliard's advanced programme. The second was none other than Robin Williams. The pair became very close friends in college and stayed in touch after their time at Juilliard was over. Reeve felt excited to start his professional life and immediately started auditioning for Broadway after school was over. He'd get an opportunity to shine very soon, and opposite a most formidable star. Of course, you need talent to act on stage, but you also need a measure of good luck. Fortunately, Reeve had both. He was a natural-born performer, and his undeniable charisma brought him to Katherine Hepburn's attention. This Hollywood legend went on to cast him for the role of her grandson on Broadway's A Matter of Gravity. But that wasn't the only thing she did for him. Reeve didn't want to miss any opportunity to do the work he loved, so when CBS offered him a role in the soap opera Love of Life, he knew he had to accept it. Thankfully, Hepburn stepped in to help him work out a schedule so that he could manage both the Broadway show and the television show. Working two jobs mostly means something's got to give, and in Reeve's case it was his health. His hectic schedule left him no time to eat healthy meals, and he started living on candy bars and coffee. Of course, a diet like this could only end in disaster. During his first night on stage, Reeve collapsed after his opening dialogue. In lieu of this humiliating episode, Hepburn quipped to the audience, "This boy's a goddamn fool. He doesn't eat enough red meat." Reeve continued his Broadway run for a full year. Hepburn enjoyed his company, and the two got along so well that people began to wonder if their relationship was more than just a platonic friendship. Reeve considered being linked to her an honour, but nothing more, and felt she probably considered him as either a son or grandson. Remember the agent who'd found Reeve in his first year at Cornell? Well, he convinced Reeve to audition for a high-budget fantasy film, but the disappointed actor faced rejection 3 times before he even had a chance to meet the team in person. The producers kept throwing out his resume and picture until the casting director intervened and asked them to meet him at least once before making a decision. As they say, the rest is history. The producers for Superman had already roped in big names like Marlon Brando and for other major roles in the film, and were on the lookout for a suitable person to play the titular lead for the past 2 to 3 years. Marlon Brando agreed to play the title character's father in Superman for a salary that was unprecedented. It was eventually revealed that the actor was paid $3.7 million and an amazing 11.75% back end to play Jor-El, for 13 days' work and less than 20 minutes on screen. In comparison, Christopher Reeve earned $250,000 in the title role, dominating most of the 143-minute runtime. They considered several big names including Al Pacino, Clint Eastwood, and even boxer Muhammad Ali and Gene Hackman. The Superman movie influenced generations of action films. Reeves's performance elevates the film with his sense of insecurity, but his irresponsibility isn't dismissed as teenage angst. This is the reality that Clark lives in. He literally turned back time in order to protect the woman he loves, but he's not able to share a moment with her as his true self. Abandoning the responsibilities of saving the world would free him up to actually live in it. Superman 2 understands that as much as Kal-El's story is based on destiny, it's really about decision. Clark's purpose on Earth is also a reality he can't share with anyone, as Kryptonians are unable to bear children with mankind, and his father can't possibly understand what the planet he dispatched his son to. Turning away from that doesn't make Clark seem callous or angry, but rather lonely and, ironically, unseen. He enjoyed early success as an actor and became a full-fledged movie star after successfully portraying the comic strip hero Superman in a series of 4 Hollywood movies made in the late 1970s and 80s. I feel privileged to have been the custodian of that character who is so important to American culture, he remarked. But on May 27, 1995, Reeve's world changed. Riding his horse, they jumped the first 2 fences in the course and were riding up to the third. For some reason, when they got to the fence, the horse refused to jump and suddenly stopped. Reeve was thrown from the horse, his hands somehow got tangled in the reins, and he landed head first on the far side of the fence. The impact smashed the 2 upper vertebrae in his spine, which meant that his skull and spine were no longer connected. This is what some doctors refer to as a hangman's fracture. He was taken to the University of Virginia Hospital, where doctors reattached his skull to his spine. Reeve remained in intensive care for 5 weeks as he fought through several life-threatening complications. When he recovered, doctors told him his injury had caused paralysis from the shoulders down. He would no longer feel sensation in 90% of his body, and he could no longer breathe on his own and would need to use a ventilator. Over the years, Reeve struggled with pneumonia, infections, ulcers, a bad reaction to medication that sent him into shock and briefly stopped his heart. He considered suicide before committing himself to rehabilitation. The physical and emotional anguish was so overwhelming that Reeve contemplated There Is No Reason to Live in his 1998 memoir, Still Me. He revealed that his wife Dana was the one who talked him back from the metaphorical ledge. "I will support you whatever you want to do, because this is your life and your decision," she told him. "But I want you to know that I'll be with you for the long haul, no matter what. You're still you, and I love you." Regaining a sense of purpose, Reeve devoted himself to learning everything he could about his injuries and approaching physical rehabilitation with the same zeal that had once fueled his enthusiasm for outdoor activities. He considered himself very lucky because he has been able to continue his career following the accident. He was cast as the lead in the remake of the Hitchcock film classic Rear Window, which starred Jimmy Stewart as a man temporarily bound to a wheelchair. Reeve insisted that his tube, which he needs for breathing, be cut so that he could realistically gasp for air. "I'm always whole, always active," Christopher Reeve says, "either in the past or the future. I have never had a dream in which I'm disabled in a wheelchair." Throughout his life, Christopher Reeve spoke publicly about his wish to walk again by his 50th birthday. This claim was not always well received by doctors, scientists and disability advocates, as they said it raised false hopes for others who had spinal cord injuries. This is because when most body parts get injured, they're able to regenerate, but this isn't the case for the spinal cord. Even so, Reeve did make some surprising progress. Some 5 to 7 years after his accident, and through trialling different treatments, he began to see slight but remarkable changes. While he never achieved his goal of walking again, he did regain some movement in his fingers and toes, could feel a pinprick anywhere on his body, and tell the difference between hot and cold temperatures. Just forget about the cape for 1 minute, please. Quit picturing that red flowing material that guided him where he wanted to go. No more blue tights, no more red knee-high boots, no more red bikini bottom, no more gold belt, no more capital S as a breastplate, no more. For just 1 split second, don't even think about what it's like to feel cold wind freeze your cheeks as you soar like a seagull through the baby blue sky. Fist as your steering wheel, cape as your wings. Don't think about saving the world from an ongoing threat of evil. Erase the idea of jumping into a phone booth and in seconds emerging as Average Joe. Actually, it's Clark Kent. But for the sake of name-calling, don't address him as Man of Steel, Man of Tomorrow, or Last Son of Krypton. And please, let's forget about calling him Superman just this once. More appropriate labels would be pioneer, warrior, father and husband, but the actor-turned-activist who died from heart failure on October the 10th at the age of 52 will forever be remembered as the man who portrayed the title role in the 1978 film Superman and its 3 sequels. Leaping tall buildings in a single bound made him famous. Fighting for research to find a cure for paralysis made him legendary. In the final decade of his life, Reeve, best known for his iconic role as Superman, had become just as much a symbol of hope as the Man of Steel himself. He would go on to harness the power of his fame to help found the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, an organisation dedicated to raising awareness and spurring the chase for a cure for paralysis. Today, hundreds of thousands of people have seen their quality of life improved through his selfless commitment and relentless activism. Reeve still stands as a beacon to millions of people around the world who have a spinal cord injury, while the foundation he started continues to fight for a future where lifelong spinal cord injuries are a thing of the past. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. If you love Superman, I'm sure you would be interested in Batman as well. Both the actors and the characters they play are handsome. I'm sure you are wondering what was Adam West's secret to easily hook up 8 women per night.